Welcome to Nancy's Corner for June. We have a lot of new books coming into the library right now, and most of the ones that I'm going to tell you about today have come in within the last couple of weeks. So we have a whole lot of new things for you to look at. I'm going to start off with an audiobook. This is called Thread and Dead, and it's written by Elizabeth Penny. The main character is a woman named Iris who has opened a vintage apron and linen shop with her grandmother, which I think would be a fun place to look around. And there are two plots going in this story. The first plot is Iris and two of her friends went to climb a mountain in the area to watch the sunrise, and when they look around, there is a visitor to the town that is found dead on a ledge. And they are helping the police chief to try to find out what happened to her. The second plot is that there is an elderly lady in town who sold some vintage linens and vintage clothing to Iris to sell in her shop for her. And when they were going through the clothes, they found some jewels sewn into the hems of the clothes. Excuse me. So Iris and her grandmother are looking into this lady's mother's genealogy and her ancestry to find out when she came to America and why she had all of these jewels sewn into her clothes, because she was like the downstairs maid and the nanny. So she really should not have had all of these precious gems with her. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but those are the two main plots of this story. It's interesting. The next one is A Catered Book Club Murder by Isis Crawford. This is about two sisters who own a sandwich shop. And every month, there's one lady in the book club who buys the exact same pastries to take to the book club meeting. She is always on time, very particular about what she does, where she goes. Well, she's late. It's like 45 minutes late, and the whole book club is in an uproar because she did not come pick up her pastries. Well, she's missing. And after a few days, they find her body in the swamp. They don't know how she got there. She is also an artist, and she paints her own original paintings. She also copies paintings, and you are led to believe that that is why she was killed. Well, it may be, or it may not be. You just have to read the book and find out. It was a little slow in the beginning, but it turned out to be a really good mystery as I went on. Okay, this next one is The Consequences of Fear by Jacqueline Winspear. This is the latest in the Maisie Dobbs series. Maisie Dobbs is a spy during World War II, and she is working with training other people to be spies and evaluating them with some leaders from other countries. One of the leaders has a big scar on his face. And this surprises her because this little boy, who is known as a runner, they run messages back and forth between office buildings, especially at night because they're being bombed right now. And he sees two men fighting, and he hides because he doesn't want to pass them. And one of the men kills the other one, and when he describes the man to the police officer, he tells him he has a big scar in his face. Well, the policemen just kind of blow him off because he has an abusive father who also has a scar in his face. So they think that he is so afraid of his father that when he sees something bad happen, he projects the image onto his father, and that's where you get the title, The Consequence of Fear, from. Well, he tells Maisie Dobbs about it, and she believes him because she sees this man with the scar who is a dignitary from another country. So she and this little boy figure out who killed the man because the body is missing. And they dig and dig until they find out what happened. Now, this is the latest in a series of, don't remember how many books there are, maybe 10, 12 books. You do not have to read them in order. This is a standalone. You can read it and be perfectly satisfied with it. It made me want to go back and read some of the other ones. And the way it ends, which I'm not going to tell you how that is, when I finished, my first thought was, when is the next one coming out? So you can read this as a standalone, or you can read it as an introduction to the past books and the future books, because I think they're all going to be really good. This next one is brand new. It is called Perestroika in Paris. It is written by Jane Smiley. Now, this book is a little different. It is about a horse. Perestroika is a racehorse, very successful racehorse. And after she wins a race one day, she's in her stall waiting for the van to come pick her up, and she leans on the door to the stall and it opens. So she decides to go for a walk. So she walks around Paris and she's looking at everything, and she meets a dog and they can talk to each other, and she meets a crow and two ducks, and she ends up living in a park near the Eiffel Tower with all of her animal friends. And she kind of lays low during the day, but at night she walks around Paris. And if people see a horse walking around by herself, they just go, oh, well, it's Paris. And they don't really think anything of this horse wandering around town. And it is in modern times. Well, the story is about her adventures and her animal friends' adventures in Paris. It does have a happy ending. No animals were hurt. She does get back with her trainer. This book is marketed for adults. It could be read by teenagers. It could be read to children. The vocabulary might be a little old for a, under 12-year-old, but they would still enjoy the story. So even though if you come to look for this, you will find it in the adult section, it is definitely for all ages. The next one is Death with a Double Edge by Anne Perry. This is very interesting. The main character is Daniel Pitt. He is a lawyer, and he's also the son of Charlotte and Thomas Pitt, who are the main couple in another series by Anne Perry. So he's a lawyer, and he has an appointment with one of his colleagues who is never late. And after half an hour, he's really starting to get aggravated with him because he wants to get on with his day. When the police come to find him and say, we found your card in the pocket of a man's coat who has been murdered, and we need you to come identify the body. And it is his friend's coat. So he thinks, well, here I am mad at this man, and he's in the morgue. So he goes to the morgue and identifies the body, and it is not his friend. So you have to find out who this man is and what connection he has to the law firm. And Daniel Pitt is trying to find out for himself. He's digging into, it is another lawyer in the firm. That's his connection. He's just not the one that Daniel was looking for. And they're going back through his old cases because they don't want him to have done anything underhanded that would speak badly of the law firm. And I haven't finished this yet, but that's where I am right now. It grabbed me from the very first chapter, and I can't wait to finish it. The next one is Robert B. Parker's Payback, and it is written by Mike Lupica. This is a Sonny Randall novel. Now, Robert B. Parker has passed away, and working in the library, I should have known this, but I didn't realize it until this book came in, that Mike Lupica is writing more Sonny Randall novels. And I always did like Sonny Randall, so I decided to read this one. And she is a private investigator. She is dating Jesse Stone, who is also a character in Robert B. Parker's novels that movies have been made out of, starring Tom Selleck, which is always a good thing. But anyway, Sonny Randall's friends are having a really bad day. This takes place, it could take place today because it is at the end of the pandemic. And her friend Spike has a restaurant that almost didn't make it during the pandemic, even with the government assistance. So he makes a loan from one of his customers who he doesn't realize is a really serious loan shark. Signs a contract, and his friend tells him, don't worry about the fine print. Here's your balance, here's your interest, nothing else matters. So when Spike, that's the owner of the restaurant, goes to pay it back, the guy says, it's my restaurant now. You didn't read the fine print. There was no way you were ever going to be able to pay this loan back. So now the restaurant is mine. So he works with Sonny Randall, who is one of his friends, to try to get his restaurant back from this guy. That's one part of the plot. The other plot, Sonny's other friend has a niece who is a college student who was attacked and roughed up. She fought the guy off, and she doesn't want to talk about it. She doesn't want to go to the hospital. She doesn't want to go to the police. And he asks Sonny, you're a woman. Maybe she'll talk to you instead of me. Well, she won't. And she tells Sonny, leave me alone. I'm going back to college. I don't want to think about it anymore. So her uncle just cannot put up with that. So he asks Sonny to follow her around, and he'll even hire her and pay her, even though they're friends. So she's following this girl, and she follows her to a poker game. And she sees the girl come out of the house. It's a high stakes game, by the way. And right after she comes out, here comes the man who took Spike's restaurant. So there is a connection between these two. You'll just have to read the book and find out. Now, these books have a lot of rough language in them. If you've read any of the Sonny Randall books before, then you will not be surprised. I had forgotten how much was really in here. But just a warning, if you don't like a lot of curse words, pass this one up. And those are our adult books for the day. Now I'm going to get to the children's books. This is If Da Vinci Painted a Dinosaur. It is written by Amy Newbold, pictures by Gray Newbold. They take classic paintings and tell you about the real artist, and they put dinosaurs in them. And let me just see if I can find one real quick. Here we have some ballet dinosaurs by Edgar Degas that replaces ballerinas with dinosaurs. And this is Cassius Coolidge, that they replace his card players with dinosaurs. Really, really cute. And they tell you are hosted by this little hamster down here. And he is adorable. You get to learn about the artist. There is also one, If Monet Painted a Monster. And it's the same thing, only they have put monsters in the classic paintings. This one I dearly love. It's called Owl Babies by Martin Waddell, illustrated by Patricia Benson. And there are these 3 little baby owls. They wake up and mama's gone. And they're a little scared. And the 2 bigger ones say, well, she just went to get us some food. And they have all these excuses. And the baby keeps saying throughout the whole book, I want my mommy. And this is some of the pictures. They are so adorable. Well, they band together and stay on the branch waiting for mama to come back. And the little one keeps saying, I want my mommy, I want my mommy. And when mommy does come back, she does bring them food. And she says, you know I'm always going to come back to you. And the baby goes, I love my mommy. This is precious. I think that's my favorite one of the day. This one is called Not Norman. It is a goldfish story. It is written by Kelly Bennett, illustrated by Noah Jones. This little boy gets a goldfish for his birthday, and he names him Norman. Not real happy with him. He wanted a pet he could play with and pet and cuddle, and you really can't do that with a goldfish. So he decides he's going to give Norman away. So he takes him to school, and he tells everybody about him for show and tell, and nobody really wants Norman. And another child, Snake, gets out, and everybody's running around, and Norman just kind of stays by his side and protects him from the snake. Then they go to band practice, and Norman is sending little bubbles up to look like he's singing. And nobody really wants Norman, can't give him away at band practice. So he's going to take him to the pet store, but the pet store's closed, so he can't give Norman away. So it's nighttime, and there are some strange noises outside, and he's scared. But Norman isn't scared. Norman protects him from the branch that's scraping up against his window. So the next morning, he decides that Norman is so good for protection, And he's such a good listener that Norman is really a great pet, and he decides to keep him. And Mama says, do you want to bring Norman back? And he goes, oh no, not Norman, I'm keeping him. So it ends happy for Norman. This is also a good one. It is Where is Our Library? It's written by Josh Funk, illustrated by Stevie Lewis, and there are Patience and Fortitude, my two favorite lions. They wake up in the middle of the night and they're going to the children's room in the New York Metropolitan Library, where they go every night and they can read and tell each other stories, and all the books are gone. So they are walking all over New York City looking for their lost books. And I even have a couple of color sheets that go along with the book. Well, they finally find the book. They have been moved, and this is true. There's a note in the back in, let's see, what year? It's not telling me fast enough. Anyway, they built a new section to the library and moved the children's section into the new building, and that's why they can't find their books. But now that they know where they are, they will be able to visit them every night. I love Patience and Fortitude. The last one is called the Snatcher Book. This is written by Helen Dockery and Thomas Dockery. The Snatcher Book is this little creature right here. And he has a problem. He's stealing everybody's books. When they go to bed to read their books, he comes in and he just steals them and flies right out the window. Well, the rabbit says he's going to find out who's stealing the books because he does it so fast nobody really sees him. So he stays up one night and puts out a whole pile of books so he can try to catch this creature. And he does. And the poor little Snatcher Book is so sad that because he doesn't have anybody to read him bedtime stories. And that's why he's stealing all the books. So the rabbit says, if you bring all the books back right now, we'll work something out. And nobody will be mad at you. So he does. And he brings them back and he puts them back on the shelves and everybody's happy. And the way they work it out is the Snatcher Book will go to your house at night and sit in bed with you while you're being read your bedtime story. And he's so happy that he gets stories read to him that he won't steal books anymore. And those are our books for the month of June. I really hope you found something that you like. Summer reading is coming up. You can use any of these, kids, teens, adults, for your reading logs. One thing before I forget, for the teens and adults, you have to read books instead of hours. And one of the categories is animal stories. So you can read Perestroika in Paris as one of your animal story books. So I hope we see you soon. And I want you to find a lot of good books here in the library. Come look at all of our new things. See you next month. Bye.